well, you've worked with some other great producers as well. Is it important in that whole process to have kind of an outside party to the band who can make decisions or kind of?
I think absolutely for this band and for me personally, I really do need someone that's that has perspective, that's not kind of just locked into the nuts and bolts of you know, is this going to be good enough for a Band of Horses record? You know, like this is someone that can just see a bit wider perspective. You know, and yeah, we had one record where we kind of took the reins on, as it were, because horses. But Infinite Arms, the producer had to leave the project like a couple sessions in, and so we ended up just finishing it ourselves, and because we didn't have that person there, I think like we tended to like overdo it a bit. Right. So it's also good to have someone just to reel you back, not only push you forward but pull you back a bit, you know.
Is that difficult as an artist? Because like you say, you think a lot about the songs, the lyrics, and then to have somebody say, well, that's not good, or...
Yeah, oh God, yeah, and I'm constantly saying that to myself anyways. Okay. So it's good to have someone actually like agree with you that this is garbage. No, yeah, I don't really need the pats on the back so much, but I do take constructive criticism quite well. Right. I'm used to. I'm married.
Fair enough. So can you give me an example of a song or a track that maybe wasn't working out, and then because of his influence kind of took shape, or?
Yeah. Okay. There's a song on there on the new album called "In a Drawer," and it was giving us grief for years. I tried to write that song, and just never would. It wouldn't settle down or just find the right fit of all the different parts. So in the end, I mean, right before the record's due, like we need to get it to the mastering plant. We have run out of time. I had emailed Jason a different part, like, okay, forget, because I can't write choruses. I always forget. You're supposed to have a chorus. Like, it's got 2.5 chords. We're fine, you know. No, you're supposed to like make a chorus. So I sent him like a last like Hail Mary idea, and he got it. Like even, and I've beaten this dog to death. I mean, it's just I can't believe he didn't even respond anymore. This, I mean, having to deal with this song so many times. But luckily, he got right back to me and understood where I was coming from, and so in the end, he even sings a bit on that chorus. And we found Jay Mascis from Dinosaur Jr. We got him to sing another part, and it all, at the last possible moment, came together with, and Jason ended up writing the words that Jay would sing. So, yeah, I mean, even in the very last second, he came and saved the day. And
yeah, with that song, what was the starting point? Because it is a song of a couple of years ago. So.
It was almost 8 years. Okay. Yeah, I remember my daughter had just been born, and it spawned from like having it was our first daughter, and her pacifier would fall out of her mouth while she's sleeping, and you'd wake up crying. It's like, dang man, I need to tie this thing to her face or something. It's like, no, don't do that. Like, that's not safe for a baby, you know. But I remember like the song came to me like when I like in one of those like constantly getting out of bed and being like, here's your pacifier, like go back to sleep please. So, and yeah, for some reason it kicked that song up, and we tried to record it over a couple different times. At least one time for Infinite Arms, that third record of ours, we made like a pretty full version of it, and just it never had a chorus, I guess. I just didn't realize you have to write a chorus. Damn it.
You mentioned this family life influencing kind of the themes or the lyrics. So with the new surroundings for this record, staying home a little bit more, do you see that back now on the record?
Do I see their influence?
Thematically.
Yeah. yeah, they're in everything, you know. I mean, even the title of the album came from one of my daughters picking up the phone and an autocorrect. That's what came out, like just a miss. She didn't even know what words are, you know, just like hitting the phone and it autocorrected to "Why are you okay?" So everything from that to, I mean, all kinds of lyrical themes, and the wife as well. They're peppered throughout. But I try not to be too specific with it, you know.
Well, I was going to ask because, well, if you write about your wife, what does she think about the songs?
Well, it's funny, like, because she'll think something is at times. I'll be like, that's not about that, you know. So I try to keep it at least murky enough to where it could be talking about one thing or it could be talking about another thing, without trying to be too coy at the same time. But I think she takes it in stride, you know. She also understands that, like, when there's obviously something that's referencing a moment that we both know is that we shared, to not, I don't know, to not like scare, like to not spook the horse or something like that. You know what I mean? Where it's, I know these are terrible like references, but yeah, she also, I think. It's better left unsaid at times. You know what I mean? Like, you don't want to have to overanalyze everything because it's part of what makes me happy. Sure. And she probably doesn't want me to like feel like I'm also like any more trapped within or like, you know, tethered down to where I can't say things freely. Sure. You know.
And is that part of what songwriting does for you, that you can kind of deal with certain things? Or
absolutely, absolutely, yeah. It's a double-edged sword though, because you're also like trying to hide a bit too, you know, like you have to get this narrative out or express yourself, but at the same time don't want to like put your issues on blast for everybody.
Yeah, is that hard to do, to kind of reveal yourself in that way?
Yes, it is, and I think I'd kind of gotten a bit lost in the smoke and mirrors aspect or whatever of it, or trying to be too clever to hide behind words. So with this album, I had to make a conscious decision to also like open up a bit more and at least be a bit more sincere, at least.
When did the change come? What changed? When did this kind of revelation, so to say? Really writing at home. I mean, like when I'm writing at home and I'm not about to share it with anybody, I can be as honest as I want, you know. And then it usually comes when it's time to like reveal. It's like whether it be the band members or Jason or, you know, someone sharing it all. I'll tend to like, all right, I'm gonna turn down the vocals so you can't really tell what I'm talking about or something. I've always done that. Or like slap a massive amount of reverb on them, or change the lyrics at the last minute, make sure that no one can tell what I'm talking about. I guess I made an effort to also use more my demoing process in the songs, not just like lyrically or more like the sounds and things like that, just weird sounds that I can conjure up in my little garbage studio. Because I don't play anything that well. Right. I'll mess with everything, you know, and I'll find happy accidents because of that. So that whole thing really has its stamp all over the record, whether it be, yes, opening up more lyrically or just weird sounds. Yeah, on some of the songs, you can hear a person talking.
Yeah, right.
So where do these things come from? Are they just... And could there be anything, just something you find that day? Or?
I always, and that's what I'll just mess with stuff like crazy. Like I love having fun with audio and cutting things up and stuff like that, and even making really terrible beats and things like that. So yeah, that stuff is just falls into your lap at times. Like, I mean, there's a sample in there from Robert Altman from a film that came out last year. I'm just like, I just like what he's talking about. Why not throw it in there, you know? Who cares? Well, someone might, you know, in the finalizing process, they might be like, you can't use that. But I go about, my recording process is so childlike that I don't worry about stuff like that. So, and then like Kendrick Lamar's Mad Kid, Mad City, that record, his like has all these voicemails and stuff from his mom and people like in between the songs, and it creates its own like broad narrative, or it creates a whole story around the songs and kind of gives them cohesion. I kind of wanted to do something like that when I found my buddies. There's like there's an argument going on that you'll hear at the start and the end of Casual Party, and it's just this dude laying into my buddy, just wasted. And he doesn't understand what Uber is, the ride cab kind of thing. He thinks that he's been left like to pay for the cab or whatever. He doesn't understand that it's like electronic, and he goes. So he was like spazzing on my friend.
So that was a real argument?
It's a real argument. It goes on for so long. I mean, and those are the only chunks that don't have F words in them. Right. I mean, he's just screaming at this dude. I think we should like make like a short film out of it or something, like a cartoon short, because it is really entertaining, man.
Finally then, you mentioned this change in songwriting with previous records. Is there one song you can pick out that maybe 2 years ago you wouldn't be able to write?
Well, that's a good question. Seems like most of them are from a couple of years ago.
Or maybe on the previous record that wouldn't have ended up on the previous record.
Right. I mean, I hate to keep going back to the same one, but that In a Drawer song with like having like the female voices in there, is definitely a new shade for us, or like the electronic drums in it. I mean, it's a bit different for us, and it's not like going with the times at all. It's more just like having that broader spectrum that Jason brought. But I don't think that would have worked on previous albums at the same time. Like, or I wouldn't have considered it for some reason. So I would say that's an easy choice there. Okay.
Well, I almost forgot. I also read somewhere that Rick Rubin had some kind of influence on the record. Can you tell me a little bit more about how did he kind of factor into things?
Yeah, he had kind of called out of the blue to our bass player Bill. He's like, just kind of asked like, "What are you guys up to?" I was just thinking of you guys. I heard a song of yours on the radio, and I was like, "What are they up to?" So Bill was like, "Funny enough, we're recording right now up in California, up in like Northern California, and it's going well, you know." He's like, "Oh, cool." Like, he got in touch with me through. He was like, "Maybe would you come down and play me some stuff or whatever?" So yeah, I dipped out of the recording session after it finished, and instead of going home, I went to Malibu to go visit with Rick, and I hadn't seen him in a while. We just chatted, and I played him a couple things, you know, but he was just kind of wondering like where we're at, what do you kind of see? His help started there, just like kind of just talking, you know, and like what do you want to get from the record, and yeah, he kind of just nudged me along as it went. So I went back and saw him a few months later after I'd kind of taken a couple little tips from him, applied them, and I still had more questions. Went back and saw him and played him some other demos I had, and I was like, I think these songs might be good enough for the album, you know. And maybe Jason didn't get them or something at the time. Maybe we had other songs that we were leaning on. I was like, I think these would be really good. And turned out all three of them ended up making the record. Thank goodness. I played them for Rick, and he's like, "Yeah, they're all fine. Like you got it. Like, you know, you might give a tip here and there. Like you could put this there. You could move some stuff around, but mostly it's just gentle, like just nudging in the right direction."
And then finally, you mentioned this confidence in your songwriting earlier. What is it like then to present these songs to a person like Jason or a person like Rick Rubin? And then
it's a nightmare. I don't sit easily. Okay. Like when I'm like in Rick's mansion or whatever, sitting there on the ground, like fidgeting with my computer or whatever, trying to pull up the right version, or oh god, it's nerve-wracking.
But well, they give you obviously they give you great feedback and they like your music. So doesn't that help with the confidence thing?
It does. It does. Yeah, it absolutely does. But same, you really have to have. I had to have enough faith also in it myself to know that even if they dislike it or they don't get it, that I gotta know more than anybody that I think I'm right. Like I do actually believe in it. So if I don't get the best answer here, like I'm kind of prepared. Like constructive criticism,
right?
You know, you can take it, but at some point you got to know yourself enough to follow your heart, I guess.
I think that's a good ending.
Right?
Thank you very much for your time.
Very welcome.
Thanks.
Yeah, great job, y'all. Great questions.